Hey, this is George back at you with another episode of the New Hunter's Guide. Make sure if you like these videos, guys, check out my podcast at newhuntersguide.com or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to or find podcasts. I've got well over 150 episodes and usually go a much more depth than we're able to on YouTube. But now let's jump into it today. We got another gear review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the first Lite Tundra Balaclava. Now, what does that mean? It's a fancy word for face mask. But before we do that, I want to let you know that this is not a sponsored video. First Lite didn't send me one of these. They did not subsidize this. They're not paying me. They don't know I exist. I bought this thing with my own money because I did my research and this is what I decided I wanted to get. And now I'm here to tell you about it. I wanted to hunt with it for a while first so I could really use it in the field before I did a review, and now it's time. But before I talk about this, I want to talk about this. This is the original face mask that I've hunted with for, oh man, since day one, for years and years. And years before that, I'd wore this thing snowboarding. This thing is probably 15 or 20 years old. It is super thin. I mean, super thin. You can see, I could see you through it. You might not be able to see me, but it is super thin. I put this thing, it's also super soft. So I put this thing on and, you know, it's one of these kind of a deals. All right. It's super soft. It's not made of neoprene or anything like that. It's just a super soft kind of polyester. And that goes up there just like that, or I can pull it down here if I want to do that. So this thing here has been a second skin for me for years and years. All right. I've worn this every kind of hunting you can do. I've worn this in sub-zero, wind, everything. And I just came to the conclusion last year or so that I wanted something more heavy duty. I wanted something for really cold weather. So I started looking, and I've got one that's a little thicker than this, that's neoprene type material. And it's thicker, it's maybe a little warmer, but I hate the way it feels on my face. I just hate it. It's distracting. I feel like when I turn my head, it bunches up around my neck. And I feel like it makes noise when I turn my head. I hate that. So I did a bunch of research, and I came to the first Lite Balaclava, the Tundra, okay? Now, this thing right here is a phenomenal piece of gear. First Lite is one of the premium gear brands. And when I say premium, I mean super expensive. This piece right here cost $50. They were running a 20% off sale, so I got it for $40. Again, no special coupon that anybody on the planet could go to their website and buy it. And I did because I was watching, looking for a sale. And this thing right here is impressive. Now, you can see it is much thicker, okay? Much thicker, much more to it. This outside here is good for stopping wind. It's not like Gore-Tex or something. It's not waterproof. It's not windproof, but it does way more for wind than this little thing did. Okay. Now what this is, you've got this exterior shell. You've got this, this sort of shearling liner with merino wool. Okay. And this thing is super soft. I mean, look at that. That is just, this is the softest thing on the planet you could ever put on your head probably. Okay, it's super soft. It works really nice. It, you know, the camo pattern, I wasn't crazy about it, but I thought that'll work. So I bought this mostly for deer hunting, for duck hunting, probably not so much turkey hunting. It's not usually that cold in the spring where I hunt. But, so I put this thing on, and you know, it's real similar to the other one in form and function. It's just much bigger, okay? So you get it situated, doesn't make a lot of noise, doesn't really bunch up on your neck. They've got the thing here so you can bring this down, all right? So, you know, if you want to eat, if you want to call, if you want to... So a lot of the heavier duty ones, to pull this down, it really put a lot of stress on your neck. This one doesn't do that. It's pretty comfortable. And then you just pull that right back up whenever you want more concealment, and then you've got it. Okay, so it works real good. It actually has a cutout around the ear where that super dense material that you saw, let me take it off and show you guys. So if I turned it inside out, what you'll notice here is that you got this circle around the ear. So it goes from this super thick shearling to just merino wool. So what that does is that keeps your ears warm still, but it lets sound pass through so you can hear what's going on. Another thing I didn't like about the neoprene ones of these, and the ones I found for $30 that were real highly rated, is it was loud, and it was loud when it moved. This makes no sound, and you couldn't hear so well. So this is cut out for your ear, but it's merino on this panel here, and it's actually a double layer. I don't know if you can see it, but there's 2 layers that actually go over each other of merino wool right there. Now people say, okay, George, what is the deal with merino? Why does merino matter? Okay, first of all, wool matters because wool is one of the best naturally insulating materials that you can buy. It's super insulating, it keeps you super warm, and most importantly of all, it retains the majority of its insulating properties when wet, even when soaked. You know, cotton is super warm, but when it gets wet, it loses about 95% of its ability to insulate. Wool retains the majority of its insulating and warming properties once it gets wet. Merino wool, and wool also is odor resistant. Merino wool is a finer mesh of wool. The fleece on the merino sheep, it's much finer fleece. You've got more fibers of wool in a smaller area, so it's softer to the touch, whereas regular wool can sometimes leave you, itchy. It's softer to the touch, it's much smoother, silkier, and because the fibers are smaller, you have just as many or more in a smaller amount of space, so you're able to capture more air and insulate more with less thickness. So I've got a pair of merino wool socks, and then I have a pair of super thick regular wool socks. And I'm just making up measurements with my fingers so you can understand. Say the merino socks are this thick, and the heavy-duty wool socks are this thick. Okay, twice as thick. The merino is warmer, even though it's only half the thickness of the heavy-duty wool, because those fibers are bigger in the heavy-duty wool. More air can pass through them. They don't have as good of an insulating property as the merino wool does. And of course, because of that, merino costs way more. This thing also uses First Lite's 37.5 technology, which is some sort of carbon-binded molecular particle. Bottom line is it's more odor resistant than even the regular wool. So it shouldn't smell, which makes it much better for deer hunting, elk hunting. Doesn't matter at all for hunting ducks. But, well, I guess it matters for you and the people hunting with you, maybe, if you're wearing this for days and days on end without washing it. So, really nice with that. Now, is this a piece that a new hunter is going to buy? Probably not your first season. It's something that, and you really only need this if you're hunting in super cold weather, high winds. Now, this thing here, it is not 100% windproof. I actually have in a Gore-Tex hat and several other hats, and if it's real windy, then I may even put a hat on top of this, which First Lite advertises is, of course, an option, but this is their answer for the coldest of the cold. Now, I have not found myself yet in a situation where I needed to put a hat on over this. But it fits tight enough that you could if you needed even more warmth. The reason I bought this wasn't to keep the top of my head warm. It was the face and the neck and down here in this area. And I wanted something else to cover all those areas. But this thing is super warm on the head. And if you needed even more, you could throw another hat on top of it. So, like I said, the camo pattern's not bad. It works. It does the job most of the time in most situations. Not going to be so good in the spring, but again, you're not going to use it in the spring. Not going to be so good early season, but you're not going to use this early season. This is a super cold weather piece. It's really soft. You can wash it, throw it in the dryer, just fine. Doesn't need any special care. So, my final analysis on this piece of gear is that it's really nice. I think it's worth the money. But this, which costs, I don't know, like $8 in 1995. So I don't know what that would be today, but this thing did the job for me for years and years. Okay. Perfectly fine. Still use it. Even though it's super thin, I'll put these up next to each other just so you can sort of get, some sense here. This is just, you know, completely different piece of gear for completely different environments. And, you know, this $7 investment will last you for a while till you get to the point, or if you're hunting in conditions where something like this proves valuable and helpful for you. So, you know, hope this is helpful for you guys. Please be sure to hit that thumbs up, that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the bell notification so you get updates whenever we post new videos. Till next time. Oh, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this or this, and what do you use, and what else would you like to see me review in the future? That would be super helpful. So till next time, God bless you guys, and go get them in the woods.